Normally I've been
Everything.
recording the whole thing, so I'll start this recording now.
Yeah, it's fine from now. I've taken notes anyway.
So let's see. Okay, so you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just start acupuncture. So we're just going to use the Facebook search function up here. And so a lot of people do not use this well at all. And so you can search essentially anything that somebody would label themselves at. So like profession is a good way, especially if it's like something that they try to get clients online with too. And so we can just search like acupuncture. It might be acupuncturist, whatever the proper thing would be. Then we can select friends of friends. And so this is going to start like more likely connect you to people that are already connected within your network. And the more you start searching these people, the more it's going to pull up mutual friends to suggest for you. And so it basically, Facebook's algorithm starts learning. And so like your mutual friends will start showing up with these connected people that you're connecting with lately, to where now, like once I started, I would go into specific groups a lot, and I would go and like get real targeted on like looking for my perfect avatar. And then I would start going through Facebook's suggested friends, canceling the ones that didn't and selecting the ones that did. And now when I wake up, it's like life coach, life coach, life coach, life coach. It's just like I just have to sit there for 5 minutes and add my quota for the day, basically. So like, you know, here is this very first profile, you know, this is an acupuncturist. She's doing acupuncture, reflexology. And so a lot of time, another good thing to do is like, okay, cool, reflexology. That could be another one where they're in the same kind of space. And like, so reading people's bios and seeing how they identify themselves within their own tribes. Because whenever it pulls up in here, this will basically let us search for like what they've got up here and sometimes what they put in their bio. And so, you know, this woman is at least somebody who's probably more so in the professional side. She's a little bit older. She's still listing her business, but it's also got a lot to work on. You can see that, you know, it's decently low engagement. She's not got a lot of mutual friends. And so like this would be an ideal ad for somebody that would possibly be a potential lead. And I'll go over the numbers with you later, but really out of everybody that we add every day, all we're looking for is for us to be pretty much right on 10% of those people, because we want at least 10% of those to be good fits to go to a strategy call. And then even if we only convert 10% of our strategy calls, you could still book 2 strategy calls a day with not very much time. And so they don't all have to be perfect. We're just trying to get like, we start with the dream avatar, like who would be perfect. And everything is just kind of a deviation off of that. And there's going to be differences in their age a little bit. There's going to be differences in where they're at in their business, but we're shooting for getting as close to the target as possible. And then that just gives us the best chance. Like that's what a Facebook ad's trying to do. But if the copy isn't good and it shows it to a bunch of people and they don't proactively interact, then if the wrong people proactively interact, then your whole Facebook ad campaign gets messed up, because like you're getting the wrong people into your system. So by us being able to get really clear up front and manually do it, we're getting higher quality leads most of the time than if we were to run an ad.
Yeah, totally. It's probably better to do this than ads, I guess, but there's a point obviously when you do know your audience of doing them. But
yeah. And so like this is, it doesn't necessarily have to be an either or, but like this is a really good way to get a good foundation. And it keeps you connected to like the heartbeat of your market basically. And it really, once you get it down, like at first it feels a little awkward, but it's also helping you build clarity the whole time on who you help. And that's why I like it for a coach to learn this first. Then it's fine to outsource it, but you need to be able to look at a profile and say like, yep, that's who I'm looking for. That's who I'm looking for. That's who I'm looking for. And then the conversations clarify that more. Like they might say, well, I just hired a coach. I'm actually doing great. I'm doing fine.
Yeah.
Then that's completely okay. But you did a really good job with your educated guess. So it's like we keep going down here, like perfect. Like this acupuncturist, mom, young, profile. She's about community, family. Like she's posting about acupuncture regularly on social media.
Mm-hmm.
You know, could be an absolutely perfect lead.
Yeah, it's quite a good one to go up down, obviously, because I've worked with someone in particular like fertility acupuncture, which is quite on trend. But there's quite, you know, I'm open to it's service-based women, but I'm probably, you know, I want to maybe go after things that I'm interested in as well. So there's people like I tend to attract like psychics and healers.
Mm-hmm. And that's a big one. Is that right? Psychic?
Yeah, I always wondered myself as well.
And then, so always check this friends of friends box. And like, if you want to look for psychics in your city, like, and you want to be able to actually like say, hey, I'm right here in town to like get some few ones, you can search, you can filter by city, you can filter by education, and then you can even filter by a company. And so like, if there was like a big company that you knew like trained all kinds of people that would be your potential clients, like say they went through some life coaching company that's really big and you're friends with it on Facebook, then you can just like add that company. Like, I don't know what's one that I see, like Mindvalley.
Yeah.
Like you just, you know, then I would search for like, I would just search for Mindvalley with friends of friends. I don't know if that would let me search just like that. But like coach
would come, wouldn't it?
And then now it's like everybody that's associated with that company, business coach, transformation coach, like, and that's why whenever I got into this, like I can find people, I can find life coaches, business coaches just all day long. And then once from there, it's like I start looking for like the ones that are like not already super advanced, but they're doing like a good, like your profile, where you're at with your business fit exactly perfectly for what I designed. And that's why like whenever we had a conversation about where you're at, where you're wanting to go, like everything, and that's why I followed up so well, is because I know like the way I've designed this and the way we could work together would be perfect for exactly what I was looking for, and what, not just about me, but I did it for what somebody in your situation would be needing and looking for. And so,
and it's good of like testimonial as well. That is one of your avatars, and this is my missing piece, 100%. And I know it's going to make a huge difference because it's just having, like, I've got reach out methods, but I just don't think they're as effective as what you're tweeting. Like, I knew instantly as soon as like I looked at your profile and you messaged me and that I wanted to work with you. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. And so like, and the cool thing about is like how you feel like, or I'm going to do this also. I'm going to send you in Messenger just a copy of my filled out niche worksheet. And so you can read through it and you'll just see like why we connected so much and like why it felt.
You sent me it already.
Okay, I did send it to you. Good.
Yeah, so when I read it, I was like, this is me.
Yeah. And so like if you do that for moms and you get that much more specific with them, because you can also relate from there, and like we always are going to do better work coming from a place of like where we can empathize with somebody. And so like finding the places like that we can empathize with being where they were at, but also knowing what it's like to transform through that place and what it's like on the other side, that's like our reflection of like hope to our market. And so it's like to be able to really, really say like, I get where you're struggling and I get where it's hard. And I'm like, you've got a splinter, and like, I know exactly what that feels like to have that splinter.
Yeah.
Like, it's comforting to people. It instantly builds trust. Like,
Yeah.
and that's like the difference in being an expert in something and just like generally helping people is like, you
Yeah.
know, if you walked into a doctor and you just said you had like a pain in your stomach and he's just like, oh, well, just this fixes pain in your stomach, and just gives you like some random thing, but doesn't figure out like all the different ways that like the real reason that that pain's there,
Yeah.
then you don't trust them very much. And whenever you do that, I call it like courageous clarity. Like, we get to the point where we feel like we're getting too clear and it makes us like nervous. And like the courage point is moving. It's like, because if we're so clear on that, it means that we've actually been kind of nailed down. And it's like, but really that's what we need is to like put our finger on the nerve. And a lot of times we get really close to it and we feel like we need to go like a bit further. And then we just like, we feel it's almost like an it's like a scarcity mentality thing. And it's like, well, if I do that, there might not be enough. And the truth is that like, you probably, even just putting yourself into the mom category, you probably can't help 1% of the moms that actually need help with what you're trying to do. And so like, there's probably an endless amount of clients out there, and it's really just going to be talking to the right ones.
Yeah, and I mean, God, like how many mums go down the route that I've gone because being corporate is not an option anymore. So
yeah, and
that in
so
itself, that's what I'm passionate about, because that's what I've struggled with the most, and I still struggle with it now. Like today has been a bloody nightmare with like my kids not being in childcare because they're ill, like trying to balance and like know how to structure your business so that you can have those days where it doesn't matter. Like at the moment, it does matter to me because I'm in a bit of a building phase, but generally, like it's okay. But yeah, yeah. So would you say, like in terms of rewriting my niche, I've just put a couple of points to like relook at the pain points specifically for mums and what they want to fit, like what they'll be like on the other side, because it's just dialing into that, isn't it?
yeah, it's that, and making sure that you look at the fulfillment side of things as far as what would you, if you were a mom, what would take it above and beyond in the ease of working with you. And like, so taking in mind of like chaotic structures will like maybe part of your program, like they need to be able to, they might need to have weird access, you know, weird times that there's access to you, or
Yeah, I've done that.
and you might not want, and you might not actually want to structure the business that way because, you know, if you are also one of these moms working a business with kids going around. So, but so just saying, go in with new eyes on it and think, what would you change with the fact of if you were going specifically for moms, and if you were one of those moms, what are some of the unique pain points that the other people wouldn't have had if they weren't moms?
Yeah, cool.
And figure out what those unique barriers that would be common to most mom situations. And because those are going to be, that's the flavoring to your whole, that's what makes things really tasty, is whenever they like resonate. And it's like, yeah, a lot of people want to help me build my business, but not a whole lot of people say they want to help me build my business at the same time as juggling 3 kids at home. And like, how could you do that? Well, part of your offer is coming up with solutions on how you would teach people, or how they would have to structure their business to make it more, you know, they're not going to be able to have a rigid business where they can't have the kids making noise between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. at their home. They're going to have a business where maybe they do more messenger support, or maybe they work with the clients on evening hours, or, you know, whatever it would be, to where like you're helping them with their unique situation.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's fine.
Cool.
Brilliant, thank you.
Yeah. And so we basically want to, you know, if you can find a few areas that make it easy to add people from, like you said, like working with, psychics or people that might say like, they might say they're a medium. And then like friends of friends. And so you basically just want like a list of 5 to 10 crossover areas that you would find moms that are also like in this type of person that you like working with. And then, this is where we are able just to do quick views of people's profile. I mean, sometimes people aren't going to put their kids right in there. Sometimes you'll see it, sometimes you won't. This is most likely her daughter. And this doesn't have this. It doesn't have to start taking a crazy lot of time, but then you can go in and specifically start looking for moms like moms in business, you can actually go for groups and then like go to new members. Sometimes you just have to poke around in a couple groups to see if it's just like all third world people that are like looking for scams, or if some of them are decent books. So like, something like this, like the Business Mom Network has got 14,000 people in it. And it's like, once you start looking for the other little things that you would see in their profile that would make them a yes or a no, like whether or not they're actually trying to do a business in that same space. So like from here, if I was a part of this group, I would just go in, like go to one of the
join them, have a look around.
I would join them. Well, I would just go to their members list and start looking just like I was looking through that search feature specifically. But I just pop down through because now I know that they're a mom, but I don't necessarily know what they do for business. So then like, I'll just like, you could just scroll and it will show you on there, and you'll see one that says like hypnotherapist, says like they're in the range of where you're looking for. And so you're just looking for ways to find where they would be and then segment it from there. And so like putting together a list of 5 of those groups that are like active groups, and they contain your potential moms. And like, so you might look in one group that's just all about business owners or starting an online business. And then you're just going through there and you're just looking for the female moms. And then you might go to a group that is a, mom's group, but then it's not necessarily a business group. And then you're still looking for the ones that, maybe they don't have a business yet, but they're just moms that are wanting to start a business, but they fit like the other criteria. They would still have issues of like wanting to like find themselves and all that kind of stuff. So you're just trying to daily build your network without being crazy, like getting a good enough idea in the beginning to where it's not really a guesswork when you're picking the profiles. Some of them might be more in than others, but what's really important is that like you're starting to every day build a consistent audience, and every day you're having some of these conversations. So like I like to shoot for adding between 20 and 30 people a day. That keeps Facebook's algorithm from like jumping all over you. You can go up to like 50. But I try to make it an enjoyable process. Like I review my client avatar, like I have the sheet of 10 people, and I'll give you like a worksheet that's got like these steps laid out too. And so it'll just be like a daily workflow. Like I usually set aside like 30 minutes or so for looking for new people, and then I'll try to make sure I check off, like I'll go to my recent friends of people that have accepted in the last few days, and I'll just go in and I'll start a conversation with 5 to 10 of them a day. And the more quality the conversations are, the less conversations you have to have. But the idea is to start like, you're going to add them as a friend, and you're already doing a pretty good job at targeting your potential client. And so they're going to look at your profile, and we want them to get a real quick snapshot of what you do. And it might build instant curiosity to where when you stop by and say, hey, thanks for connecting with me, Facebook
Yeah.
suggested we should be friends, and I just wanted to say hi. And then like they look at your profile and go, well, she coaches women who are wanting to start a business. Now they're primed to you a little bit, but we
Yeah.
don't want them to think the whole point of adding them as a friend was just to come in and start selling them, because it really shouldn't be. Like what you're doing is, instead of paying and going to like some local networking marketing group where you talk to two people and you spend half your afternoon, well, you can now do that on Facebook with just highly targeting who you're looking for, and just starting some meaningful conversations. And by nature of you properly identifying and having a solution to what they are possibly looking for, those conversations are going to be more genuine. They're going to be more rich. Like you're not looking for who can I sell, you're looking for who you can serve, right?
So,
And
yeah.
yeah, and so you could still do this. Like a lot of people struggle with organic outreach because they feel like if it's all about money, and you feel like it's all about money, that's one thing. It's another thing if you approach it with the
It's switching
mentality.
your mindset, isn't it? Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, you serve, and sometimes you serve and you don't get paid for it, but down the
Hmm.
line you might. So you
Yeah.
don't know what the conversation is going to do. And especially, like, would you say creating something free that I can give as well
Hmm.
is something key here? Because I haven't,
Yeah.
at the moment, don't have anything.
Yeah. And
So I
so
need
that's,
to get on that.
yeah, that's part of what I was going to have you do too, is we call that like a lead magnet. And so some of these conversations, like I said, the script like that I have, that like once somebody comes to you and identifies, like say you create a 5-minute morning meditation guide for busy moms who are wanting to connect with themselves. And
Yeah.
every day you're adding these people that would possibly want that free resource to your thing every day, that like you
Yeah.
can use that like on your Facebook profile and your featured image. Like
Yeah.
if you like look at, I guess you're still looking at my screen. So like right here, like for me, like one of the things I have is like the Facebook community. And that's like something people can interact with for free, but you could very well make like a Canva image here that had like something that you created that was like, or maybe it's like a little 7-page PDF that they can get for free that gives them inspiring self affirmations for the week. And so, something like that, that they would say, sure, that like it takes almost nothing. But what they've done at that point is they've told you that there's some sort of need there. And so, like, I have a script that basically once, and then you can make a post like on your regular wall to like
Yeah.
give, and you can like create. It's good to have like maybe 4 or 5 of these little things that are all dealing with part of the problem, and it helps you identify who in your people that see it identify with that. And the more targeted it is, like if it's for moms, then when a mom reads it, she's much more likely to comment it on than if it's for any women struggling with that, but it doesn't really have the uniqueness of them. And so that way sets up the conversations, because basically to start asking somebody if it's okay to find out about their pain, you really need their permission first. And the pre-frame of like, hey, once they've asked or said that they would like a free resource and it's dealing with a problem, then we're much and more in a natural place that go like the script ends up going something kind of like this, like, hey, that's awesome. Are you still wanting this free resource that I made? And they're like, yeah. And then this is where we're just trying to get permission to have a small conversation with them. And so we give them the resource no matter what, but we kind of hold it until we have some questions answered. And so like the way we go into that usually is like, well, this is something that I normally teach my paid clients. And so, but I want to make sure that it gets into the right hands. So would you mind if I asked you a few questions before I shoot, and then I'll shoot that training over to you? And most people are just completely fine. Like, yeah, absolutely, ask away. And so then this is where we're looking for their current situation. And so it might be a question that's,
Yeah, that's quite a good way of doing it.
Yeah, and then the question is like, so what made you interested in getting this daily affirmations anyways? Like what was it about this that made you want it? And then it's like, well, I've been feeling kind of down on myself lately, and it feels like I've never got any time for myself, and I'm always running around with the kids, and I thought if I could do something just 5 minutes a day that brought me a little bit more centered, then that would be great. It's like,
Yeah.
and then it's boom, now you know that you potentially have something in with them. And so what we're looking for is we're looking for their situation to match the situation that we basically hypothesized with our offer. Then we're looking for their pain. And then the next thing we start looking for is their goals. And so it's like, it's one thing to be in pain, and then it's another thing to have not only be out of pain, but also to have like the life that you're wanting to go for.
Yeah.
And then, so this is where you have like the opportunity to naturally go. So like we figure out that they've got pain, and it's like, I'm sorry to hear that you've been kind of struggling with that lately. Like, and then whatever would be then we kind of, and this is part of like customizing this, like I've got the basic framework, but then it's going to take some iterations of finding out like how you like the conversation to flow that feels naturally to you. But the basic next thing that we're looking for is their goal. And so it's like, how long have you been struggling with that? Well, ever since my kids were born. And then it's like, and like, is this something that you're wanting? Is this something like, obviously they reached out, they're wanting some relief out of it. And so then it's like, what's your real dream? Like, obviously you'd like some more time in the morning. And then they're like, well, my real dream is that I'd wake up and I'd feel like I had my, sense of my own self, and that like I was able to do everything else in my life. Like, I do everything I do because I love my kids, and I do what I do because I love my husband. But I know if I loved myself more, that I'd be loving them even more in return. It's like still getting at understanding that. And it's like, then you're able to start opening up and be like, well, what do you think? Then this is where we're looking for the challenge. And it's like, so what do you think has got you kind of stuck in this? And then it's like, well, I never, I stopped believing in myself, or like I got overwhelmed, or, all the different things. And then this is where you're able to like, we offer them like a valuable piece of insight. And then it's like, I'd love to chat with you some more about that. Like, would you be open to talking sometime if you're interested? And also, where would you like me to send that free resource over to? And so we like at the end, we pair these two questions together to where it's like, would you like to talk more, and where would you send the resource? So it keeps people from like ghosting you. And if you do it right and it's genuine, like there's some people that as soon as they feel like, oh, maybe they might eventually want to sell me something, they're out. And that's fine. It feels personal sometimes, but it's like, we've got to go through those, because if they're the thought of getting help and the thought that they might have to pay for it makes them jump ship from even wanting to chat, then they just weren't a good fit anyways. And so the thing to keep in mind is like why we are looking for our dream client. The dream client's looking for us too. And so like if you've properly identified that pain, like you're not doing this because you found some way to swindle people. You've really identified a need, and to the person that can afford it and needs it, like you're going to be a godsend.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I love to do, is to help people and it's finding the right people that are in those places, because it's not really as fulfilling, because I'm not having enough conversations. So even just doing this and having this, when I have the scripts and start to do it, I'm going to feel so much more fulfilled, because I'll know not everyone's going to be right, but having those conversations, it's going to
it feels like momentum too. Like even if I'd rather have like at least one conversation a day, and know like all those conversations weren't going to turn into any money right there, just to keep me dialed in, just to keep me in a place where I'm constantly looking to evaluate the proper pain and like understand, like it keeps you sharp too. and it can't be downplayed, the back end returns off of that you just don't see. Like, I signed up 8 people to this offer, and half of them were conversations that I had had in the last 30 days that were just me offering help to people, and I never pitched them or offered them anything. And then whenever I came up with something that like was a little more feasible, and was specific for what I realized what some people needed, was like, it just ended up being money that wouldn't have happened if I didn't have those conversations. Yeah. And so, yeah, just having these conversations is important. So let's go back into prospecting just a little bit. So, because what I want to do is I want you to feel like you can go out. We've got more clarity on who you're looking for. And then over like the next day or two, I'm going to just have you find the ones that you feel like really are good fits, and you're going to create a top 10 list, and I'll send you over like a little homework of things to do. But we're going to create a top 10 list over the next couple days of you taking this new clarity on who you're going for, like re-examine your offer, re-examine your niche a little bit, like with this clarity that we've got. And then if you know people already in your space that are already moms, they already probably could use your help, and you know their profile looks like what you'd be looking for, we want to create this like top 10 list of people you're finding new and mixed with some people you already know could fit. And because we want to basically be able to pull all these profiles up at any time and get clear back on our focus. Because sometimes when you're going through a lot of profiles, you can get off on a rabbit hole of maybe who you could help, maybe who you couldn't. And so this will help us be really clear. And then trying to add like 20 to 30 of them for the next couple days. And then like on the second call, what we're going to do is refine these scripts to your avatar. And I'm going to take some of the information that I got from this call and kind of get it set up. Because right now it's, more focused on, it's more of a straight up business coach framework as it's set up. It can be customized to almost any niche, but we just have to, take in consideration the tone depending on the type of person that we're talking to. And really what we're always looking for is how to flow the conversation from tell me a little bit about your situation and the kind of pain you're in, and like naturally leading the person into giving us a clear picture of where they're at. And then if they are in that right spot, then it's appropriate to invite them to chat. And that's when we'll send the calendar link. And you should be able to do that. Your goal should be able to do that 2 times a day, no matter what. Like, and whether it's just in the evening before you go to bed and you plan on spending 45 minutes just talking to some new people that you've added, or, or in the morning starting with
it consistently, isn't it? Because I'm just thinking,
like,
most days I can do it, but like just with how like I have like then maybe like I don't just do it one day of the week, and I also have to think from doing it, it's a numbers game, isn't it? Like if I'm wanting to have 2 to 3 clients, like do I need to be doing this as much as 5 days a week, or is it good just to do it to get into momentum?
Well, you want to do it like, you basically want to, if you could have 5,000 friends on Facebook and you're using your Facebook for business, it would be ideal if you had 5,000 moms who are in your ideal situation. And so, especially now that you're like narrowing this in, like it's kind of like a mix. It's kind of like a numbers game. And part of it is, it becomes a really educated numbers game, because like up front, if you're just throwing a random, like if somebody is just picking a niche and they just hypothesize the problem and it's not really a problem, then it's like you're looking for a needle in a haystack. You're looking for like somebody who has actually what's really an common problem. They just have the same thing you thought about, and you're looking for a needle in a haystack. And so that's what a lot of times people feel like with their organic, is they're out there just looking for the random person that would want to work with them. And whenever we come at it with like this clarity up front, like we're already getting pretty close. And then it's probably going to look like for you that whenever things are going good, maybe 4 out of 10 conversations, and you're really dialed in on who you're going for, and your offer is just like positioned right. You might have 4 out of 10 conversations or 5 out of 10 that end up turning into clients, and you have to book less calls than somebody
I
who,
get what you're saying. You don't know
yeah,
until you start doing it. And
yeah. But like a good number to look at is like trying to get 10, if you can get 10 strategy sessions a week, which is 2 a day, and that can be brought in or brought out. But like, I don't know anybody that's having 10 conversations a week with decently qualified people that are just making no money. At that point, you would really need to start examining your offer and your niche, because there's be some disconnect there. So it's like, you should definitely be able to close 1 out of 10 calls. That's like a 10% close rate, which if you have a $4,000 offer and you do that once a week, well, you're at a $12,000 income.
yeah.
And that means taking 10 calls a week to make $12,000. And if it's that you're really looking for 2 closes a month, and that, like you said, you want to get to the 5K point, but like, say you're selling it at $3,700, you're at 2 sales a month, you're well into what you would like to make. And so then, like, I've got, and I'll give you this sheet too, which is like the metrics, like on like a $1,500 offer, like how many strategy sessions it would take. But
that's quite useful.
Basically 15 people a day, and turning 15 new people a day into 2 calls. And then basically Monday through Friday, you hop on the phone for 2 calls. And if you only closed 1 out of 10, you're still getting a new client a week at that point. And if you did that over the whole month, and you took 20 calls for the month and you closed, and so that's like 1 call every other day, a little more than that, and you only closed 1 out of 10, then you could still hit your 2 clients a month. And you don't have to do as much, but it might be that in the beginning you have to do more.
That's fair enough.
Down the road.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Part of I know we need to like probably sign off now, because we've been going about an hour, haven't we? I can't see the time. Just having had this conversation, like, do you think it's worth me having a lower end offer that, if I dial into kind of the pain points, that a bit like what you've done with me, start to get them on the road, whether it's just that I work with them over 3 sessions on 3 of the things that could get them making traction, and they're then in a position to maybe come
something like that's not a bad idea to have. And basically what you're doing is you still keep your ideal avatar. And so like, you don't want to forget. And sometimes with our, like, especially like feeling like maybe somebody, like there's a lot more people that can't afford to pay you $4,000 than there are that can afford to pay you $4,000. At least that's like the general feeling of it. And so a lot of times we feel like we immediately have to compromise on price because they probably can't afford it. And what that means is we're shooting for the wrong demographic from the beginning. The clarity there is wrong. And so whenever you're looking at a profile and you're thinking about, like, so if you put together a $750 offer that's like still enough to have somebody that's serious, but it's not like they have to really dig into their savings to pay for it, you're going to attract the people to a $700 offer that could just maybe barely afford a $700 offer. Then the people that could afford a $10,000 offer are going to look at a $700 offer and they would feel like it's not as valuable. And so you need, whenever you're looking at your, like, it doesn't matter if you priced your package at $3,000 or at $5,000. Like at $3,000, you're only going to be able to get somebody that's in that spot. And if you moved it to $10,000, that would mean like you'd still be looking at moms with these problems, but they'd either be moms with these problems with 6-figure jobs, or they'd be moms with these problems with 2 household incomes, or they'd be moms with these problems that, their husband makes over 6 figures. And so you would take that into account on what you're looking for. So you're not, And so whenever you're looking for somebody that could afford your $3,800 offer, and I keep using dollars, I know you've got it in pounds.
All right, I know.
But the thing is part of assembling that clarity on what you're looking for needs to be who could afford it. So you don't have the price doubt in your own mind. And then if you also have an offer that comes in at that lower point that takes less out of you, but the lower point that you're bringing them in needs to be what would get them to being in a spot where this offer would make sense for them. And so I think it's a good idea to have something lower dialed in, but it can be a little bit of a trick to where you start lowering your ideal avatar down to where they're in the situation of the starter that can't afford it. And
really,
this mom does exist that can afford it. And so then it's like, if it's the difference in looking in, it might be the difference of the profession that you're looking at. So maybe it's like this mom needs to be, maybe it's looking at moms who are coming out of corporate who have been making good money for the last 10 years and they've got savings accounts, but they're still completely unfulfilled and they still feel like they've lost themselves to their job. And so just understanding the difference, then that mom can afford it and it's still solving the same problem, but having an option for the mom that is just doing part-time massage therapy on the side and she can afford $750 and she, it's a different kind of help that you're giving her, but the basic avatar is still the same. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I still think my price is wherever you are, because I know I can help someone get a client very quickly. That it's like people have access to that, but it's mindset, isn't it?
Yeah. And so, I mean, and then there are the ones that just don't have access to it. And so that's where like having something that they could, because if they do have access to the 3,600 and you haven't properly conveyed the value, then you have to like downgrade the thing, or maybe they're not in enough pain. And so then then it's like, well, take like us working together, for instance, like you just ended up being in a position where like you were completely okay with my price as far as like seeing the value and like working together, like around your whole offer, putting this together, scaling it. It's not hard to see the value in it, but you were just in a place where like right now you're just needing to get a little bit farther ahead before you could be able to justify something like that or even get access to the funds for it.
It's more because I've spent so much on coaching already. I'm so limited, so I just need like 1 or 2 clients, and I've been in that position, and that is like honest truth. But some people, you could just go down a whole like thing around like price. But I just think what I say to people when they say something around the price is just around, I tell my story when I first invested and I literally just had enough to do it and I got a huge return. But then I reinvested and I've not got much back.
And that's what I've done. You were saying you've not got as much back each time you've invested after that?
Because I've not had what you're teaching me. That's the one bit that was missing.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. I'm glad that So how do you feel so far about just like the search function and the groups? You feel fine about being able to find those? So a couple other things that we want to be doing is, like I said, the suggested friends. Let's see if I can find mine. Sometimes it just throws it in your face all the time, and then other times I can't find it.
Oh, I know what you mean. Oh, are they at the top on the right-hand side?
Oh, yeah, I'm used to going from my phone. And so from here, I'll just go through. This girl does writing courses and retreats. And in the same space, could be a decent friend. Just keep going. Like, she doesn't say really anything about what she's doing, so there's no way for me to know, so I just remove her. This guy's a coach. I don't know where he went. But so like I'll just go through and I'll spend some time here and I'll make sure I add the ones that are good and I make sure to get rid of the ones that aren't, because that's really telling Facebook. It's like when you like something on Netflix and it starts showing you the same kind. So us having clarity when we start clicking on these is really important, because Facebook's going to start creating like a feedback loop to you. And so like people that like jump businesses a lot and jump niches and they start looking for the different kind of people, eventually all their friends are just like really off the wall suggestions, to where once we start doing this a little bit regularly for a week or two, Facebook starts going, oh, I know who you're trying to connect with. Like, and Facebook makes money by connecting people. It's like its whole thing that it's trying to do. So this becomes like a really, really good tool. And but it's important that we're basically like we would be feeding an audience on Facebook ads, like it's like a lookalike audience.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're basically doing that, but organically. And so you're going to have your favorite 3 to 5 groups to go into, and it's just easiest. Like sometimes it's good to do a post, and then when people comment on the post, you can add them, but you can also proactively just add the people. Go into the members list, look for what you're looking for, add 5 from here, 5 from there. But it shouldn't be, like I said, it's kind of getting the momentum going at first. Once you start getting this rolling, like I know like from where you're at right now, where you've not been doing a lot of outreach and you've not been getting on a lot of calls, it feels like it's going to be a big effort to do it all. But at first it's like the effort of building the habit and like realizing it works, and like realizing like that the amount of effort you have to put in for the opportunities and the conversations becomes less and less the more clear you become. And so it's why like I'm not going to teach you something where you're just copying and pasting and dropping the same thing to the same people over and over again. It's more like, all right, we know exactly who we're looking for. Having clarity on knowing who we're looking for, we know what kind of jobs they have, what kind of groups they hang out in, what kind of things they're concerned with. And so now we can find their habitats where they're at. So we should have no problem finding where they're at online. And then getting consistent with adding them, that starts creating a feedback. We're proactively having conversations, and so that's stirring up new interest. Sometimes it might be partnerships, sometimes you might find somebody that's like on a peer level with you and you can leverage their audience, they can leverage yours. Like you can go and do JV interviews on people's things. There's like all kinds of ways that these conversations become valuable. So I'm trying to think if there's something that I haven't covered as far as like, do you feel like
I'm clear now, like to look. I think I just need to dial back in on that avatar, and get clear on some of the groups now, because some of the groups I put might be different, and I am in some mum groups, but there's tons of them out there.
And anywhere where they're at and they might possibly have our problem is perfectly okay, because we really want to focus on that they are still an individual no matter what groups they're associated with. And most likely, and the nice thing about is really dialing on the pain, is you can pretty much guess most likely if they're a mom, they're at least going through some sort of issues that you could relate with them on. And so I think that's going to be a really helpful distinction for you, in all honesty.
I do share a lot about that. I mean, I know we're focusing on Facebook, but some of what you do like may transfer across to Instagram. Obviously right now I'm just going to focus on Facebook, but I share a lot on my stories about being a mom and like what it can be like today I just did one. I was like really vulnerable, really honest, because like people buy into that. It's like building that know, like, and trust. So that's something like, now we've chatted, just feels more aligned for me to concentrate on that,
Yeah.
because the pain points are real, and that's what I have day in, day out. So I want to be working
Yeah.
with other people.
And all
Like,
your content and your solutions, you're basically like holding this big mirror up,
yeah,
and you're waiting for someone to see their reflection. And when they see their reflection, then they hold their hand up, like whenever you do like a call to action or you're giving something away. And so getting them in and having some of these conversations starting is going to start building momentum. But then, like, the part where we bring them to us is like we get them into your network. They see, and Instagram is a great place for this too. And anytime you can have a conversation with somebody, what I'm talking about will work. Because what we're really getting down to is it's not like some fancy tech strategy. It's becoming really clear that we're talking to people and we're getting really clear on what we need to say to them, because we're just trying to match up our solution to their problem. And the whole idea started with, how could I help them from this problem? And so now, like on your Instagram, when somebody says, oh my gosh, it feels like you're reading my mind, then that's as good as if you gave them away something for free. That conversation warrants a private conversation of, hey, thanks, thanks so much for commenting on that. And I love that that resonated with you. Would you tell me more about that? Yeah, well, I've really been struggling and I've been going through this. Yeah, I've got a similar story and I know exactly where you're at. That's actually why I do what I do. I'd love to hear a little bit more about where you're going through. Like, what are your goals? Like, what are your dreams? Like, what do you, if this wasn't a problem for you anymore, what do you think your life would look like? And it's like, oh, my relationship, and like I feel like I've been struggling with my husband lately because I'm just not coming to the table all the way. And it's like, so your relationship would get better, your relationship with your kids, you'd feel better at work. Like, what do you think's getting you hung up? Well, I really just think like I forgot how to take care of myself. And it's like, well, yeah, I see that a lot with my clients. And one of the things that I found helps is this, but there's sometimes a lot more to it. Would you like to chat about that sometime whenever we're both free? It's like, yeah, I'd love to have somebody listen to my exact problem that I felt stuck on. It's like, perfect. And then like when you get on the call, now you're in, the whole thing has been set up to where you're in a place of, it's not like a alpha place as far as like dominance, but like a place of leading, because essentially what you're telling women and what you're working with is like, I've been where you're at and I'm trying to help you navigate that better. And so it's like our understanding of their problem, but we also understand the path forward. And so that sets the coaching relationship up as like this mentor, like ask and respond. And that lets us really get down to the core issues with them.
Cool. Thank you. So yeah, so if I go away and start adding people but getting clearer, and I'm going to start to have an idea what they look like as I do that, and then obviously have a look at obviously creating some sort of lead magnet as well.
Yeah, and so I will send you over some, based off of our call, like it'll just take me a little while of putting my thoughts together and what would be the best thing for you to do over the next couple of days. And the nice thing that we're doing this one-on-one now is I can give you a little bit of implementation time instead of like with the 3-day intensive, what I was doing, it was like going to be back to back to back. And so this way, I think I actually like that it turned out that everybody had a different schedule, because this kind of gives me, I think people will get actually better results getting some more of this one-on-one time. And so I'll put together a homework thing. Essentially, it's going to look like you actually getting in there and starting to find those profiles and identifying them. I'm going to have you create in the document like a top 10, top 3 or 5 groups that you think are going to be best to go to regularly. And then I'm going to have a spot for like your top 3 or 5 competitors. Isn't a great word to use, but like if you come across women that are already doing something similar to what you're doing, it's okay to note them, because a lot of what we do is like, one, it's good to check out profiles and get like if somebody's doing what you're doing really well, then instead of looking at them competition, we want to look at them and like be able to emulate. Maybe it'll give you content ideas. And then also you can just go to their friends and go to recent friends, and they're most likely attracting a lot of the exact same kind of people you are looking for. And so it's almost
Instagram to get followers, just going into people. But
yeah.
there's more clearer. I can go on a totally, like, it's not a rabbit hole, but it is. It's like going into that and then seeing them also. Yeah.
And so like, it's not, you know, it's not really like one big secret on how to find your clients. It's really having the clarity on who you're looking for, and then putting some thought together on their habitats online. And so what we're going to go over on the next call will be, you'll have some requests that have been accepted and that look like your ideal avatar. And then we'll go over the sales framework mindset, and then we'll actually go and start trying to have some of those conversations.
Yeah.
So does that all sound good?
Yeah, that sounds brilliant.
Okay, wonderful.
When do you think is a good time for us to have the next call then?
Let me see. So today is Wednesday, is that right?
Yeah.
We could do as early as Friday sometime, possible, if that ends up working for you. I'm trying not to put a lot of stuff on my weekends right now, just because that's whenever the wife and kiddo are home the most.
I'm just thinking maybe.
But if you are good as far as out as Monday, that would even be better for me.
I'm just thinking that might give me a bit more time.
Yeah, because the idea is I want you, by the time we start having those conversations, to be comfortable, and also that'll give you time if you come up with some questions more by then, as far as your targeting and what you're looking for.
Let's do Monday, because then I'll do some bits over the weekend as well. Okay. So I'm doing like a 3-day challenge with my Facebook group on Monday night, and it starts at 7:30 UK time. But I'd be finished by like 8 p.m. So
that's 2 my time.
Yeah, it might be like just after 8, like 5 past, just because when I finish, I'll just literally be jumping straight onto you.
Okay. Yeah, that's something like that'll be fine for me.
Yeah, I'll just message you as soon as I finish.
Okay. Let me see.
I think I'm gonna have to move out of my house next week anyway because of this situation.
Yeah, that's rough.
So it's fine. I'll be at my mum's more than likely, so it's fine. But it's been so helpful. Thank you very much.
Okay. Ray. Yeah, you're welcome. If you ever have any questions or need me to clarify, sometimes it's a lot to go over some of this stuff, but I'll also get this recording uploaded and I'll get that to you. It takes a little bit.
Yeah, it does. Don't worry about that.
And then I'll also get you over just like some reminders from this, some little hints and tips of things that I think about, and like just some of the things to get done over the next few days. So you've got kind of an agenda, and then the next time we'll actually start working towards getting some of these calls booked.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Okay. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.